welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy you're here. Firstly, I want to preface this video by clearly stating that I am not in support of using AI to replace creative jobs, such as pattern writing. While I believe there can be a lot of value in using AI as a supplemental tool to the creative process, I think that claiming AI art as your own is lazy and cowardly. However, I've seen that AI content within the art community is becoming more and more frequent, and unfortunately, because the image generation is getting so good, it can be hard to tell the difference between what's real and what's artificial. I think part of the reason why AI is so pervasive in creative spaces is because there's this weird obsession with humanizing AI. Since art has always been championed as a purely human endeavor, when people see AI's ability to regurgitate some cheap blend of actual artists' work, they get confused and feel like the AI itself was creative. Also, have you seen that video of the guy pretending to interview prep with the help of the new ChatGPT 4 bot? It's a literal nightmare.
What do you think?
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece.
Like, do people actually want to interact with AI like this on a daily basis? Personally, I hate this. If I'm using ChatGPT or Gemini or something, I just want straight up answers to my questions. Why does it have to be flirty? Like, why code it to have human linguistic mannerisms? This does nothing except feed into the fear surrounding AI and promote misinformation about what AI actually is. To put it simply, and I want to emphasize that this is a major oversimplification, tools like ChatGPT are trained with a language model, which essentially means that when you ask it something, it will give you a response based on words and phrases that appear frequently related to the information that you're asking about. Image generation tools are very similar. They are trained on gigantic pools of images. And when you ask it to generate something, it basically combines the relevant elements based on its training and spits out an image. Are these models extremely advanced and complex and impressive? Yes. Are ChatGPT and Midjourney thinking critically about your prompt? No. Is AI creative? Also no. And then there's the argument of like, well, I thought of that AI image, so it's my art and it's creative. And it's like, no, having an idea is like 2% of what art is. Like, sure, conceptualization is the starting point of any artistic process. But after that, there's hours of masterfully using tools and mediums to bring that vision to life. Not to mention the years of time invested in learning and adapting the necessary skills to be able to execute that idea effectively. Could you imagine me during Fashion Week being like, well, I thought of this beautiful knitwear collection, but I just didn't know how to make it, so you're gonna have to trust me on that. Here's an example from my real life. When I was in 4th grade, I had to do this project where I had to come up with an invention. My idea was to have a little GPS with an alarm that could attach to your keys or your backpack or whatever that you could track from a separate system in case you ever needed help finding those things. Do you think I'm emailing Tile like, oh my God, you guys owe me so much money. I thought of this when I was in 4th grade. Obviously no, because when I was 9, I did not have the technical skills to be able to engineer that system. The same way that people who claim AI art as their own don't have the skills to be able to actually create something. And also, I want to reiterate that using AI as a supplemental tool is great. I'm not blind to how much utility AI has. There's just a huge difference between asking ChatGPT for tips on composition or color theory or sizing information if you're making clothes, and just straight up telling it to generate an image of a giant crochet elephant or some shit, and then posting it like you did something. There is just so much AI generated content online now, And thankfully, there's been some progress in implementing systems to help identify when something's AI. But even then, I see accounts with AI in the username, and people are in the comments like, "What Procreate brush did you use?" It literally makes me want to rip my hair out. In those situations, I blame the commenter for a lack of media literacy. But there are cases where the poster is clearly trying to pass off something that's AI as real. If you crochet or knit or are a fan of fiber art, and if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you fall into one of those categories. I know you've seen plenty of AI, crochet, and knitwear being passed off as real. Remember when Lion Brand posted a slideshow of AI grannies in crochet Halloween costumes? The caption has since been edited, but I remember seeing this when it was first posted, and there was no mention anywhere that this was AI, and people in the comments really thought that this was actual crochet. Not to mention, this post is probably the best performing post that Lion Brand has ever had. It has over 500,000 likes. And like I said, the comments are filled with people tagging their friends like, "Oh, here's your next crochet project." If someone sent this to me, I would be so depressed. It's just so disheartening to see such a huge brand post something like this instead of actual crochet work, because there are tons of artists out there working so hard and struggling to get the recognition they deserve, and now they have to compete with giant fake crochet hippo? Also, I'm not on Facebook, but just judging by Facebook's demographics, I'm guessing that the AI content creation and consumption is even more egregious on there. Even scrolling through Etsy, I found this account that is selling AI generated crochet patterns. And the saddest part is that people are tricked into buying them. Just look at these 1-star reviews, literally so bad. This is a scam. The pattern does not correspond to the picture. Well, they're two different pictures. I think by now you know where I stand on AI fiber art, but what I wanted to do today is prove that AI is a poor replacement for the real thing. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm in my amigurumi era, so I was curious to see how well ChatGPT could generate an amigurumi pattern. There are so many patterns and resources online for crochet plushies, so going into this, I figured that for something simple, and in this case I chose a cat, ChatGPT could probably generate a pretty fine pattern. So you can see at the top here, here's my prompt. Can you write an amigurumi pattern for a simple cat? The pattern needs to use fingering weight yarn and a 2.25mm crochet hook. Include a photo of the intended finished product. I asked it to generate an image based on the pattern because I was curious to see how well the pattern would match up with the picture. I'm going to be honest, just on a first skim through, the pattern is looking pretty bare bones. And here's the picture of what the finished product is supposed to look like. Now I want to show you a free cat pattern that I found online so that you have a frame of reference. This artist's brand name is LittleMuggles, and she posts tons of free patterns for amigurumi and different resources and stuff. So here's a pattern. Just like look at the details. This pattern writer also included process photos, which is super helpful for the smaller details, especially in the face. She even includes spacing information for the eye placement and everything. It's literally just so nice. And also it's free. So if you want to make a crochet cat, why use AI? Just Google it. This was like the second link, and you'll get a better result just as fast. And you're also supporting a real life artist by providing traffic to their website. Also, if you can't afford to spend money on a pattern, I get it. But like I said, this is free. Okay, we're back on ChatGPT's pattern. I want to take a second look at the photo. I'm already noticing some issues. Firstly, the ears in the photo look great, but the pattern instructions for the ears, I can tell, are not gonna make the same thing that is in the picture. Also, I don't see anything in the pattern about color changes, even though in the photo the cat is gray with white details. And in the materials, it does call for 2 different colors of yarn. So what I'm going to do is just go section by section, follow the pattern exactly. I'm going to put the pattern instructions on the screen somewhere so that you can see what I was working with. So let's get started. Okay, I just finished the body piece. I'm already not feeling very good about this. It's very tiny and very spherical, which looks nothing like in the photo. But it's time to move on to the head now, so we'll see. Thoughts? I'm sure you can already tell that this is going to look nothing like the photo, but I'm curious to see if it at least looks like a cat. Next up are the ears, legs, and tail, and they're all pretty tiny, so I'm just going to crochet them all up at once. Ears. Okay, so I'm working on the legs, and I just wanted to stop and talk about them because these are almost impossible to crochet. The instructions for the legs are to basically crochet a cylinder that is 5 stitches around. The problem with this is that ChatGPT doesn't know what crochet is, and therefore doesn't know the limitations of the materials. It's probably really hard to see this, but the center of the tube is so tiny that it's almost impossible to actually stick my crochet hook into a single stitch. Also, the pattern mentions stuffing the legs, but there's literally no way for me to get any polyfill into these legs at all. We're gonna keep going. I'm gonna persevere. I only have 2 more legs left and then the tail. So I'm finished with the legs, tail, and ears. I'm just gonna sew them all on now and show you the finished product. Okay, I finished, but I'm honestly not sure if you're ready to see this. As you can see, he's doing a little T-pose because his arms are too small for his body. This obviously looks absolutely nothing like the picture. Does it look like a cat? Kind of. Honestly, the head and the ears are pretty cute, but the body and the legs and the tail are just proportionally wrong. A crochet cat is probably one of the most common free amigurumi patterns online. So I figured that ChatGPT probably had the best chance to generate something somewhat passable, but I wanted to go a step further. I gave ChatGPT a second prompt, and it was to do the same exact thing, write a pattern and generate an image, but for an original amigurumi design. So now GPT has to string together something new based on the crochet patterns that were included in its language training. Obviously, when a crocheter writes an original pattern, they're not reinventing the wheel. They often rely on tried and true techniques. However, the difference is that a person, through practice and perfecting their technique, understands how to manipulate the yarn to create a desired shape, and ChatGPT does not. Also, before we get started, I wanted to show you some beautiful and unique amigurumi patterns that I found on Etsy. I'm definitely going to need to cleanse my crochet palette after this video, so I'm looking to invest in some of these patterns, and I hope you like them too. First up, we have the Bellatrix the Bat pattern. The shop name is Joyfully Meraki, and this is just so cute. Definitely giving Pokemon vibes. And you can see the pattern's been tested. I trust this person. This is just such a cute pattern. Next, we have this amazing Demogorgon pattern. I just love the creativity and that it's like kind of interactive. It's just a beautiful, beautiful design. Also, based on this picture, it seems like the pattern comes in multiple languages, which is just an added bonus. And the shop name is Mari Kurumi. Next is this design by Cute Crochet by Lee. And I have seen this guy all over Instagram. This is just such a cute pattern and it's so unique. You can tell that the creator spent a lot of time perfecting the proportions and everything. It just looks perfect. The last pattern that I want to show you is this crochet poodle moth by Cotswolds Crochet. I love the texture and the size and the fact that it kind of looks realistic, but also very cuddly at the same time. So yeah, these are what legitimate crochet patterns will look like on Etsy. You have photos from multiple angles. This creator included a photo of the materials that you would need to create the pattern. Just wonderful. I'm going to switch back to ChatGPT now so that I can show you the other pattern that it gave me. So you can see I asked it to create an original and creative amigurumi design. It has come up with this thing called the Whimsy Wump. I'm just going to scroll down to the photo so that we can take a look. Okay. This looks insane. Okay, there's a lot of details going on here. And I just scrolled through the pattern and it didn't look very long. So already that's a bad sign. I love this little earwax booger that's happening. The tail also looks really complicated. And I just noticed that it has nipples. Okay, like I said, this looks really complicated. So let's look at the pattern now and see what we're working with. Okay. Okay. All right, so this is looking pretty similar to the crochet cat pattern, if I'm going to be honest. I can already tell that most of the sections, if not all of the sections, are going to look nothing like in the photo, especially the tail. You see how complicated this is? These are the instructions for the tail. Crochet 6 stitches into a magic ring and then basically make a tube that's 6 stitches around. That is not what's happening here. Again, there are color changes in the photo, but there aren't any mentions of color changes in the actual pattern. So originally I had planned to also crochet this design, but honestly, I don't want to spend any time or yarn on this pattern, but I can reconstruct it. So I'm in Canva now, and what I'm going to do is just reference the pattern and then recreate the shape that it's describing, and we'll see what the finished product would probably look like. So for the body, it basically described like a sort of long circle, an oval, you might say. Pretty much the same instructions as the body for the cat. Okay. Next is the head. And this is also pretty much the same thing as the cat. The proportions are actually exactly the same to the proportions of the cat. It's just a little tiny bit bigger. So I'm just going to adjust this. Okay. There's our head. Next up are the ears. Again, very similar to the cat design. It's funny because there's only 4 rounds described in the pattern, but you can clearly see that if you were actually to make these ears, it would be at least 20 rounds. Okay, that seems good. And it says make 2, so we're gonna make 2. And just like I did with the cat, I'm gonna sort of like position it similar to how it's designed in the photo. Next are the arms. It's literally the same thing as the cat pattern. Okay. I'm just gonna duplicate this for the other side. Let's at least not put the arms in T-pose. And then the legs, again, just another tube, a very tiny tube. So I'm going to duplicate this. It's actually 1 stitch wider, so I'm going to make it just a little bit wider. Okay. And then let's see about the tail. Also a tiny tube. It's also not that much longer than the legs. So it'll probably only stick out about that much from the back if you just attach it to the back. Let's give him some eyes. Let him have a little bit of dignity. All right, that seems good. I'm glad that I didn't waste my time making it, especially because it's pretty much exactly the cat pattern with very few negligible adjustments. I think because there's so much AI content and there's so much hype about it, there's this fear that as artists, we're getting replaced. And I really don't think that's the case, especially for pattern writing. From what I've seen online, the vast majority of people are in agreement that they don't want to see AI art being promoted. There has always been and will always be people who steal art or take the easiest route just to make a quick buck. I mean, remember Redbubble? I just have so much faith that people will continue to appreciate the humanity of artistic pursuits. Art will always exist and be important, and there will always be people who care about it, both on the creator and consumer side. And also to all of my fellow pattern writers out there, I see you and I see your hard work. I want to end the video by giving you some tips to improve your media literacy surrounding AI fiber art, because it's important, especially now, to be critical of your media consumption. Hopefully, this will help you to focus your online engagement and support on artists who are really putting in the work to master their crafts. So this is how to tell if crochet is AI generated. Number 1, the crochet piece is massive. Crochet takes a long time to do, so completing a piece this size would be a feat. If someone actually made something like this, it would be on display somewhere or there would be news articles about it. Also, let's revisit the crochet hippo that I talked about earlier. See how there's only one photo of it from one angle? If this were real, there would be hundreds of photos of it online. But if I search giant crochet hippo, see? I actually want to show you an artist who made this amazing giant interactive crochet display. Like, are you kidding? This is amazing. The artist is ginarosegallina on Instagram. The display is in an actual park. She even posted a video of the display. I'm just in awe. This is just so cool. Ah, get out of here, grannies. Number 2. There are multiple photos of something that are strangely similar. Like in this post from We Are Knitters. Really, there are 4 grandmas who crocheted their motorcycles. Obviously, those photos are fake, but I see it pretty often, and a lot of the times the differences can be a lot more subtle. Be extra wary of multiple photos that are supposed to be of the exact same thing. I'm going to put up the pictures of the AI fox pattern that I found on Etsy, and I'm sure if you look at it for a couple of seconds, you can easily see that these are not the same exact design. Number 3, blurry stitches. Especially with amigurumi and designs on a smaller scale, the crochet stitches tend to look really blurred. When it's real crochet, you can easily see the texture and definition of the yarn and the stitches. However, AI image generation is getting really good, so just be careful and pay attention to the other things that I mentioned too. Number 4, small details that don't make sense. Things like eyelashes and hair or fur, or pieces that don't fit quite right together, are telltale signs that something's not real. Us crocheters are limited by our materials, so if something looks like it would be only possible digitally, it's probably because it is digital. And lastly, number 5, check the person's account. If you're really not sure if something is real or fake, check the poster's account. Pretty much every crafter I know on Instagram posts reels, and many of these artists post reels of them actually doing their craft. If you're already suspicious that a post is AI generated, check the person's account, and if you don't see any reels, or if you see that they only post finished products, then chances are that they're probably AI. That's all I have for you today. I hope that you find comfort in the knowledge that AI is not yet capable of producing usable crochet patterns. And I also hope that I'm able to help you to be more conscious of AI generated crochet when you see it online. Let me know what you think of the use of AI in creative spaces in the comments below. Also, I'll be linking all of the artists and Etsy shops that I mentioned in the description, so go check that out if you're interested in supporting them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.